Hello, ladies, and a few good men. Welcome to the Autoimmune Rehab Podcast. Today we have something very interesting for you. I'm hopefully going to get the pronunciation correct here, but I'm sure we'll get corrected if I get it wrong. But you've probably, if you're anything like me, started hearing about some of the ancient healing practices in the last couple of years, things like Qigong and Tai Chi and other things like that. And today we have only our second man ever on the podcast, but should be a really good one here to talk to us about the ancient practice of Qigong and how that has helped him with his autoimmune conditions. And he started working, helping people all over the world to help with their autoimmune conditions by using this ancient practice as well. So, welcome to the podcast, Thomas. Why don't you start off by giving us a little bit of an intro to yourself?
Sure. Well, thank you, Anna Laura, for having me here. And I guess I would just say it wasn't something that was planned in my life to be doing this kind of work. But I think for like a lot of us, life kind of puts us in these circumstances and situations. So when I was in my early 30s, I developed this undiagnosable disorder, which the doctors couldn't figure out. It went through many tests, many diagnoses. Some people thought it was MS, some people thought it was lupus, some people thought it was RA, Lyme disease, a whole number of things. But none of those actually seemed to fit. But the short of it was, I suffered from horrific bouts of fatigue, pain, like nervous system pain. I had seizures. I couldn't sleep, panic attacks. My heart would just uncontrollably have these bouts of palpitations and arrhythmias that were terrifying. Yeah, and it was just horrific. It was a nightmare, really.
Yeah, it's
Um,
crazy. Yeah, that is horrific. And did it just kind of seem like it all of a sudden came on? It was like one day I'm fine, and the next day, boom.
well, what happened was at that time, yes, it felt like it just came out of nowhere. But then it took about a year of investigating to find out that previously to feeling that way, so I was going actually to study Chinese medicine at that time. I was enrolled in a master's degree program, and we were going to start our clinical year. And I had to be in the clinic. I had to receive a vaccine, which was the Hep B. And I didn't think about it at the time, but it's a 3 dose. And the first one I felt horrible. The second one I thought I was going to die so much. And I actually didn't even do the third one, but it wasn't until 3 months after that. The other thing I didn't mention symptom wise is my liver function just like seemed to stop. Like I couldn't digest certain foods, a lot of foods. So it was a combination, I think, of that having some kind of injury to the vaccine, and then simultaneously also having some tick bite together, and the
Wow.
combination of those things.
So
Yeah,
you
crazy.
ultimately probably had some form of Lyme disease as well, probably, even if they originally tried to say you didn't have it, you probably did have some form of.
Sure,
That's
sure.
kind of crazy that they would make you get that vaccine to work in an acupuncture clinic when you're trying to engage in more natural healing. But I
I
guess
know, I
maybe
know,
that,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So after, I don't know, felt like almost 10 years of suffering with this kind of degree, going to doctors, specialists, naturopaths, functional doctors, you name it, shamans, healers. The one thing that I did have that kept me, I felt like sane and felt like I was doing something every day to improve myself, was this practice I learned called Qigong. And thankfully, over the years, I got better, I got healthier. I learned a little bit more about diet. I learned a little bit more about other ways to help my body detox. But really, through all that, I had this one thing that really helped me when I look back at a lot of peers that I also had that were sick with similar conditions, other autoimmune conditions. They didn't have that. And as a result, I feel like they suffered tremendously from depression. They suffered, their symptoms seemed to be worse. And their just overall outlook on the situation was always kind of very negative. And I have to say that this one practice is what really helped. I'd say not just helped in the healing process, but helped me really change who I was on the inside out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you ultimately did become an acupuncturist, correct?
Yes. Yes, I did.
And did you learn that Qigong practice as part of your acupuncture training, or was it something that you learned later?
Yeah, it's funny, when you go to acupuncture school, at least when I went years ago, it felt like a little bit like going to Hogwarts. Like you have all of these access to all these interesting, strange things that you've probably never heard of before, like EFT tapping or, like the healing power of essential oils or, all these things. So there was maybe a semester class on it, but it was very just a breath of it, nothing really deep. But I just so happened, as part of my training, I went to China and
Oh, okay.
I actually got to meet a Qigong and Tai Chi master there. And so he shared with me some things, taught me some things, and then told me to go study with this particular man. Because the school I went to was in Miami, Florida, believe it or not. And the person he mentioned was in Florida, about 2 hours north. So then I started studying with him.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, interesting. That's cool. Yeah, and let's then move in a little bit and explain to people a little bit about what what exactly is the Qigong, because a lot of us are probably yeah, at least me, I know I mentioned I've tried it a few times. I've, experimented a little bit. You see people doing the movements, you think, okay, how's that similar, different from things like Tai Chi or, like a
Yes.
yoga type meditation? What makes qigong, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I'll do my best. I mean, I feel like I've been doing it 20 something years, and I still feel like I'm just starting to understand it completely. But essentially, it's the ability to take our consciousness and focus it in the body in a way that is neutral. It's not biased. It's not like trying to do something. It's just neutral. It's just like bringing the attention to the body with a particular, again, neutral focus. And then as it sustains that, the body actually knows what to do to make it feel better. And so as you sustain that focus, your breath relaxes and your breathing starts to come down in the lower abdomen. And then you assist that by doing these postures, certain postures. Some of it is just standing postures, some of it is moving, like we see in Tai Chi, where people are moving in these very slow, meditative, flowy forms. It can be all of that. But the real key is, I'm like, my teacher used to say to me, one is only as strong as one, two is only as strong as two, but three is as strong as 10. And he would show me this by like weaving, anyone's ever weaved string together. If you weave three strings together, all of a sudden it's strong. You get good cordage there. So when you take the mind, which essentially is consciousness, and then you have a relaxed breath, and then you sustain it with a posture or a movement, when those three things harmonize together, it sends a powerful message through the body. And the chi likes that, the
Yeah.
energy in the body and the cells. We all have chi. It's, you wouldn't be alive if you didn't have chi. And it's
Hmm.
deep in the cells of our body. And when we have those three things to come together, um, it just starts to enhance that. And in the beginning, you just feel more relaxed, you feel more energized, your hands start to tingle, you feel warmth. But as you get deeper and deeper into it, what starts happening is you start to feel almost like the body starts to swell up because this chi starts to fill up the spaces. Now, you don't get like, you blow up like a balloon.
Yeah.
No one would ever be able to tell from the outside, but your internal experience feels like that. It feels like someone pumped you up with more air on the inside, and you just feel like your confidence, your ability to, like the other day, I banged my head on the corner of our cabinets, and my wife was like, "Gosh, didn't that hurt?" And I was like, "No, it didn't." And that's kind of one of the results. Not that you're going to be banging your head a lot, but when there's more chi in the system, like things like that don't hurt as much. And of course, we see that with martial arts. People practice qigong to make their body like iron body stronger. But just for everyday purposes, it just helps with simple things, especially when you're dealing with inflammation or pain. So
That's
yeah.
cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that's so it's kind of like you could say, I guess, a little bit of a form of combining exercise with a little bit of hypnosis with a little bit of meditation, kind of sort of the way to.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people that have done hypnosis say, "Gosh, this is just like hypnosis." And in some ways it is, because it's accessing a different part of our mind that we most of us don't do every day because we're busy, doing this or that, or writing emails or whatever. But when classically they write about it is like returning back to nature. So I think we all know the experience of what it's like when we're a beautiful day, sun, and we're next to a river or a lake, and we have no agenda, nothing planned. Like when we can just sit there and be calm and relaxed, that energy, that feeling that we have happens naturally. And that's the same place we're trying to access within ourselves as well.
That's awesome. I love that. So, how frequently do you recommend that somebody does this practice, especially if somebody's maybe speak to somebody who's just getting started, to maybe somebody who's been doing it for a while? Does that change?
Yeah, I think it's like, I mean, it depends, the level of stress and sickness someone has. But in the beginning, it's good to just try a little bit, do 15 minutes, just get the feel for it. You'd be quite surprised once you start doing it how much more difficult it is than even regular exercise. Even though it seemingly seems like we're not doing much, we're moving our arms very slowly, we're holding these postures. But what you find is, instead of working the bigger muscles of the body, we work at the deeper layers of the body. And sometimes those are deficient and weak. And that also points to the sickness in the body. So the neat thing is, as you do these movements for 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, you strengthen the body in those more places that are connected to the organ systems. We say it feels like a wetsuit, this fascia layer that connects the soft tissues to the whole body. It In the beginning it's hard to feel, but as you experience it more and more, you want to do more of it. And so 15 minutes the meeting, but you get in this very tranquil states of mind that an hour can just go by like that. And you're feeling good, you're feeling calm, you're feeling energized. And who doesn't want to experience that more in their day? So especially if you've been sick, right?
For sure, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's a good point. So I know that we will include the link in the show notes so that people can go download it. Thomas and I originally connected over actually he has a Facebook group that people can join. We can probably include the link to that as well, specifically on Qigong for autoimmune. He has like a free ebook you can download. He has a video course that people can get to help them do the Qigong there in their home. Talk to us a little bit about that video course. How does that work?
Yeah, so I started this out just teaching people one-on-one and then in a class. And then it just started to spread. Like people wanted to tell their cousins in this state, or "Oh, I got a friend, over here that needs this." So then I started putting stuff online, started the Facebook group, and then they just want more. I want more, and so then I particularly work a lot with people with autoimmune conditions because it's close to my heart. And so I put together. It's a very quick course, and it's pretty. I try to make it very affordable. I think it's only $14, but it teach just three basic movements and a lot about the principles that I was sharing here today, with a bunch of bonus stuff. And you do those every day, and it's filmed in a really nice nature setting, so it's very relaxing. A lot of people get a lot of benefit doing that. It's especially if you have a lot of stress in your day, you do that, you'll feel like you just had a week vacation. So it's really, really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I haven't tried that out yet, but I'm definitely going to. I've watched some of the videos you've posted in the Facebook group, and I know you go live in there and share with people
Yes.
different routines, qigong, all that kind of stuff. And then of course, it's also worth noting that I know, like I said, I live in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. There are some people that do in-person classes here in the area too and stuff. So, if you want to try it in person, you could research it, see if you can find it. But yeah, there's definitely different ways to educate yourself about it, start making it part of your wellness routine. And
Yeah, and just start, I always say, people ask me, "Oh, how do I know if it's a good teacher or feels?" I always say, listen to your heart. Like walk into the room, meet the teacher, meet the class, and if something resonates and feels good to you, you'll know, and then just follow that. Um, and you're right, like there's so many. The great thing about this time is we have so much access to these things everywhere. Salt Lake City, New York City, wherever you are, there's most likely a Qigong teacher or a Tai Chi teacher in those areas.
for sure, absolutely. And of course, we've got the online things, like I said, we'll link to your video course. We've got your video course. We've got, all the the internet has to offer in the internet universe and that kind of thing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. So anything else that you feel like you want to share with anybody? Things that
Well,
they ought to know
do we
that I
have enough time? I could do just like a quick demonstration.
Sure, why not? Let's do
Yeah.
that. So let's
We
point out before you do it that we are going to have the video version of this as well. So those of you that are listening to the audio version, and especially if you're driving while listening or something like that, you might want to pause this part and come back or go find us on YouTube to see the video version. But yeah, let's do it.
Sounds good. All right, so this will just be a little demonstration to show the power of when we do harness this power of our mind and the chi together. So what you're going to do is the wrist crease here on both
Okay.
sides. You're going to line that up, and then you're going to bring your fingers together, and you're going to look at that middle finger, one, and like mine are almost pretty even today. That's unusual, but normally there's like one is a little bit higher than the other, you'll notice. And so what I want you to do is focus at the one, let's say if it's the shorter one, I want you to put your attention on that shorter one. And if you don't have a shorter one, just choose one. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go like this. I just turn my palms together and place them down by my abdomen. like that. I just hold that posture. I close my eyes and I'm relaxed. I'm not tense, so my shoulders are relaxed. Very carefree on the inside. But then I just say this message. That finger is growing longer, longer, longer. And you're starting to feel now that the finger is growing longer, 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 all the way. Like that's so long that the finger feels like it's going to hit the wall in the room. And you can actually feel that finger growing. Bigger, longer, longer, even longer. One more time, just feel it really extending all the way. And then you can open your eyes and then match them up again. The wrist crease. Bring the hands together. And you should see one of the fingers grow a little longer.
Mm. Yeah, it's working. It did for me.
Yeah. So there you go. So you can do the power. And now what you can do is just shake your fingers like this. Go back to normal. Go back to normal. Back to normal. And then check again. And there you go. So we call this the finger growing game. And it's a simple thing, but it just demonstrates the power of when we put our mind's intention into something in the body. Because if we can make our finger grow in that quick a time, we can do many, many other processes, help them. So I hope that was helpful for everyone and gave everyone just a little bit of a window what the healing power of Qigong can offer you.
That's awesome. That's great because as I've talked about a lot on this podcast, and other people have mentioned it as well, the power of your mind is really something else to help heal your body. It's really good. So that's awesome. Yeah, I think that was great. I hopefully other people find it helpful. I found it super insightful. So yeah, like I said, we will have the link to the Facebook group and the link to download the ebook and probably the video course link as well in the description, so you can go check all that good stuff out. And yeah, thanks for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.